Hi guys, we are going to be talking about shading today, and we're going to start with rounded objects. So get a pencil and a paper and let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to make is something called a value scale. This is just as a scale for us to visually see how we get all the different values or shades from dark to light out of our pencil, kind of a little practice run. What I'm going to do at the top here is I'm putting a lot of pressure on my pencil, and as I move down the bottom of this rectangle, I'm going to speed it up in a moment, I am going to have less and less pressure on my pencil. And I just want this to be as smooth as possible. I want it to go from dark to light without any big jumps or gaps or kind of dark pencil lines that would attract your eye. All of our rounded objects that we're going to be doing in this video are going to get a value scale from dark to light. The way that you apply that value scale changes based on the type of shape. So we'll go ahead and get started with a couple. First thing that we're going to be making is a cylinder. So I'm going to put an oval or an ellipse here. The sides are perfectly vertical. And then this bottom curve right here should be a parallel to that earlier curve up there. The nice thing about a cylinder, it's pretty simple, is I have light to dark. I'm going to take my value scale and just apply it dark to light, almost like a label. You can see I put a little arrow on that far right side. That's where I've decided where my light source is coming from. Whenever you do a black and white, or I guess even any kind of painting or drawing, you want to think about where your light source is coming from. That's going to dictate where your darkest values are and where your lightest values are. So we're going to do just the outside of the cylinder with the value scale from dark to light, smooth as possible. I don't want my eye to be drawn to the surface of the cylinder because I think that would be distracting and it would ruin the 3D effect that we're trying to get. The inside of the cylinder will do a little bit different. If we wanted that to be open, we would just do dark at this edge and light at the other. A value scale as well, because the side of that cylinder, we want it to look like it's curved. If I wanted that to be a closed cylinder, I would just simply shade it all one solid shade of gray. And in doing that, I would create the illusion of a closed top as opposed to like an open top. Open top's a little bit more fun. So we'll go ahead and do that. Smooth as possible, speed it up for you. Then we'll go ahead and put a little shadow on this so that it looks realistic. Essentially, all drawing and shading is an optical illusion. I'm trying to make something that's actually 2D appear to be 3D. So the closest I can get that without any imperfections in it, the more that is going to create that visual optical illusion. The shadow always goes from the widest part out. So I'm going to go up the side a little bit to start the shadow, and then from that lowest point of that bottom curve there. Next thing we'll do is a little bit more tricky. We'll go ahead and create a sphere. There isn't anything to sketch other than a circle. Then I'll decide where my light source is coming from. And we'll get that shaded on there. You want this to get as circular as possible. I'm not using any sort of template or anything, so just be careful with it. This side's going to be dark, the other side's going to be light. I'm putting on some super light guidelines so that you can see that each one of those values is going to be curved a little bit. You're not just going to go dark to light straight up and down like we did with our value scale or with our cylinder. You're going to curve it like a crescent shape. You can think of phases of the moon. It's kind of a similar idea. If you can keep that C shape or those crescent shapes for each of your values as you move up from the dark side to the light side, your sphere will start to look very three-dimensional. It's definitely trickier than the cylinder, but it looks pretty cool when you can get it correct. We want to make sure always, as a side note, that when you're drawing your objects, that you're using a light line. In real life, in reality, there's no outlines on things. We don't see a heavy, bold outline. We just see shading. And a heavy circular outline on this cylinder would ruin the effect. It would look flat. So you can see that I'm adding in some more lines. It really doesn't matter the direction that you're coloring. I started off kind of side to side to really emphasize that crescent shape. But as long as you are sneaking up the sides a little bit, darkening the sides, lighter toward the middle, you're going to get something that looks like a sphere on your paper. The next thing we're going to be doing in the last shape for today is something that would be considered a cone. We'll make it magically uh, balancing on its tip. So just like the cylinder started with an ellipse and then coming down right here. This one you have to be a little bit thoughtful about it. There's my light source, that's my light side, that's my dark side. And I'm going to add some really light guidelines on so that you can see that each one of those values is going to come all the way down and meet at the very tip there. True for the inside as well. So I'm going to start with my darkest value here. And then I'm slowly going to work my way over to the lightest value. I'll know that I've done it correctly if when I get over to the light side, the whole side still remains light. I don't want to work myself all the way up into that other corner right there. I'll speed this one up for you too in a moment here. The inside of this will do similar to the cylinder as well, but there's a little catch. I'll explain that in just a moment. So smooth, dark to light, working my way over. Now I'm kind of at a different angle. You can see that that right side is all light. This would be true if the cone were flipped over as well, so that the wider part is on the bottom. It's the same idea. We want it to look like a cylinder that's narrowing down at the base. For the inside, same thing, dark to light, opposite, but I also want to angle those pencil lines down toward the point, just like the outside surface was angled down toward the point. So it still looks like it's narrowing, even though I'm working on the inside. And a little shadow there. And that's it. Our next video, we are talking about flat-sided 3D shapes. I hope you join us.